Have you ever given everything you had and still felt completely alone? Have you ever been so tired, not just in your body, but in your soul, that you weren't sure you could take another step? If you have, this story is for you. Elijah had just stood on the top of Mount Carmel and called down fire from heaven. He had faced 450 prophets of Baal alone, and God had answered him in front of everyone. It should have been the greatest moment of his life. But sometimes the hardest season comes right after the victory. When Queen Jezebel heard what Elijah had done, she sent him a message. She swore she would take his life by the next day. And Elijah, the same man who had just stood fearless before an entire nation, ran. He ran because he was human. He ran because courage doesn't mean the absence of fear. And he ran because even prophets get tired. He walked alone into the wilderness. No army behind him, no friend beside him, just silence and dust and the weight of everything he carried. He sat down under a tree, and for the first time in Scripture, we hear a prophet ask God to let him die. "It is enough, Lord. Take my life." Not anger, not rebellion, just exhaustion. The kind of tired that sleep can't fix. The kind that makes you wonder if anyone even notices you're still standing. And then he fell asleep. God didn't scold him, didn't lecture him, didn't tell him to be stronger. An angel touched him and said, simply, "Get up and eat." There was bread baking on hot stones, a jar of water beside his head. And when he had eaten, the angel came again. "Get up and eat, because the journey is too much for you." God's first response to Elijah's pain was not a sermon. It was a meal. Rest. Tenderness. Sometimes that's what grace looks like. Not an answer, just presence. Strengthened by that food, Elijah walked 40 days and 40 nights to Mount Horeb, the mountain of God. And there he crawled into a cave. God came to him in the dark and asked a question, not to interrogate, but to invite. "What are you doing here, Elijah?" And Elijah poured out his heart. "I have been very zealous for the Lord, but they have torn down your altars. They have killed your prophets. I am the only one left, and now they want to take my life too." Every word heavy, every word honest. God told Elijah to stand at the mouth of the cave. A great wind came, powerful enough to shatter rock. But God was not in the wind. An earthquake shook the mountain beneath his feet. But God was not in the earthquake. A fire swept through. But God was not in the fire. And then a still, small voice, barely a whisper, quieter than breath. And when Elijah heard it, he wrapped his face in his cloak and stepped to the edge of the cave, because he knew God was not in the storm. God was in the silence. If you are tired tonight, truly tired, know this: you don't have to be strong right now. You don't have to have answers. You don't even have to speak. Just be still. Because the God who fed Elijah in the desert, who met him in a cave, who spoke not in thunder, but in a whisper, he is speaking still.